So this is a full build of my Peter Green Gary Moore tribute. Started out with body and neck, which I got from Bian Xuebin, who makes some really beautiful guitar kits with really nice woods. So this is mahogany with a flame maple top. Dry fit to make sure everything was going to fit nice and snug, and then I did decide to reshape the heel a little bit before gluing it in. Once the neck was glued in, took a look at the top and the back and masked off the fingerboard and got it ready to start staining. First a wipe with some mineral spirits just to really show what the grain was going to look like. And then once I was done with that, laid out where the hardware was going to go and the headstock design so I could drill the holes. Once that was all done, spray it with sanding sealer and get ready to start the staining process. So we start out with a dark stain on the front and the back, and really all very deep dark chocolate brown that I put on the front and the back of the guitar, several coats just to get it really nice and deep. And then that's really to accent the grain and bring it out. And once that was on, then sanded it back to the wood again, just to really leave the grain pattern, and then started working on the color coats. So the top started out with lemon yellow and did several coats on that until I got to a point where I wanted to compare how it was looking against the guitar that I was mimicking. Mixed up a little bit of orange to do that faded burst, and sanded it back a little lighter in the middle, so it really got that look of a really faded vintage sunburst. So once the top was all done, gave it a look, and it was looking really nice, and started turn to the back. So the back was also sanded back and did a grain filler, and then started adding the color. Again, this was more of a mahogany. You wanted to get more of a vintage mahogany color stain on it, so you could have a look at it with all the grain filler and the back all done. And should note I'm using all water-based finishes for this from Crystalac. So while the finishing was going on, got the last of my hardware. It came in, and also got some custom foil logos done for it, which are going to look really sharp once this all goes together. And then started working on towards getting the clear coating process started. So the first thing was to just get some black onto the headstock, and then once that was all done, started with the clear coating process. So I have my fancy gizmo rig for spraying guitars, either just bodies or with the necks on. Start out by putting down 3 coats of the Crystalac Bright Tone clear coat, and then got the logos on there. And somebody suggested I add a handle to make my life a little bit easier, which I did, and then carried on with another 3 coats of clear over everything once the logos were in place. At this point, just give it a light sand back just to take care of any nibs, and then continue with the last remaining coats of clear. I put a total of 9 coats of clear coat on generally, and so that's what this has. At this point, this is it after 9 coats of clear. You can see it's got a nice deep finish, and it just needs to sit and cure for a couple of weeks. So that's it after the cure. You can see it starting to look really nice, and did a bit of a dry fit of the hardware, and then started the level sanding process. So level sanding and polishing, like to use the Super Acelex dry sanding system. It does a great job. You can see how quickly this is being sped up double speed, but you just see how quickly that top layer of finish comes off and gets a beautiful level sand. That's using the yellow 800 pad. Then moved on to the orange 1200 for the next round, and again took that off on the front and the back. At this point, getting it really nice, flat and level, So it's looking really sharp. Just have to carry on and finish the top here. So next I move on to 2000 and 3000 grit with the Abralon pads, which get it basically all ready to polish at that point. I don't have a pedestal buffer or anything, so I'm using a little household automotive buffer. So this is as good as I'm going to get before I actually start hitting it with the compound. So now I move on to the final polishing stage, just using some fine polishing compound and my automotive buffer polisher, which is what I have. And it's just got a terry cloth bonnet on it, and this does a nice job of getting up to a really nice shine, and I can get into most of the nooks and crannies with that, and a little hand polishing in the corners where I can't quite reach with it. And it doesn't take long to do this process at all. I know this video's sped up a little bit through this section here, but really this start to finish, the whole sanding, dry sand, level sand, and polishing takes about an hour and a half for a guitar, which is quite happy with. It's a reasonable amount of time, and I really like the dry sanding as opposed to wet sanding, and really what you have to do with the water-based finishes. So one final wipe, and then it's ready to unmask the fingerboard and get it ready for the rest of the assembly. So once it's, I'll just give it, after this, I actually tidied up the fingerboard a little bit and gave it a little wipe with some guitar polish to get it all ready for assembly, and then start putting it all together. So next up, wiring. So I've got the switch wired up and made sure everything lined up, wired up the harness, got everything put together with the Kluson tuners on it, and actually turned out real nice. Really pleased with this. It's got the Gotoh bridge on it. It's got the custom Peter Gary button on the toggle switch. It's got the Gibson Greenybucker pickups that I used, which have that reversed phase neck pickup that's flipped around. Sounds fantastic, and yeah, really pleased with how this one turned out. Close out with a little taste of sound clip. There's a full sound demo video on the channel as well.